What if we could use the cold, hard logic of game theory to decode one of the most confusing things we all do, dating? Well, it turns out the answer tells us something really profound, not just about our love lives, but about the future of our entire society.
You know that feeling like you're in the middle of a game, but nobody ever gave you the rulebook? Well, chances are you are playing one. And it all comes down to this one question. Why do we make the choices we do? To figure that out, we're not going to read some boring textbook. Nope, we're going to play a game. So let's dive right in. We're going to set up a really simple model of the dating world, and it might feel, well, a little familiar. It's just a way to get a handle on all the complex forces that are actually shaping our choices every day. Okay, so imagine a tiny little society with just 10 people in it, 5 men and 5 women. Now, their goal seems pretty simple, right? Everybody wants to get married. But, and here's the twist, every single player is ranked on a scale from 1 to 5. 5 is the best and 1 is the worst. So, what determines your rank? Well, it's a mix of 3 things. First up, you've got genes. Think health, appearance, that kind of stuff. Then there's wealth, cold, hard cash. And finally, status, your social power and influence. All right, the players are set. The goal is clear. Let's see how this game plays out. So let's think about this. What's the most logical way for everyone to play to get the best outcome for the entire group? It turns out economics actually has a name for this kind of perfect, stable solution. It's called the Nash equilibrium. Now, I know it sounds super academic, but the idea is actually really simple. It's just a situation where everyone is making the absolute best choice for themselves, given what everyone else is doing. Basically, it's the most stable outcome you can get. No one can improve their situation by changing their strategy alone. In our little dating game, the Nash equilibrium is just beautiful. Man number 5 marries woman number 5, man number 4 marries woman number 4, and so on, all the way down the line. Everyone pairs up with their direct equal. It's perfectly logical, it's super efficient, and it creates a stable society where everybody wins. It's a beautiful theory, right? Perfect. Tidy. But is this really what happens in the real world? Does everyone just neatly pair off with their direct equivalent? Yeah, I think we all know the answer to that. And this is where the neat theory just completely crashes into messy reality. The source material puts it pretty bluntly. It says no one actually follows that rational rule. Instead, it says, we choose to be suicidal. Now, that's not literal, of course, but it means from the perspective of group stability, our choices are a complete rejection of the logical model. The huge question is, why? To understand why we act in this seemingly crazy, self-destructive way, we have to realize one thing. We've completely misunderstood the point of the game. The players are not trying to build a stable society. They're playing for something else entirely. So if the goal isn't stability, what is it? It's status. Just look at the comparison here. In the Nash equilibrium game, the goal is a stable society. The action is pairing with your equal, and the results, everyone finds a partner. But in the status game, the goal is to maximize your own personal status. The action completely changes. Now you compete for the absolute top partner. And the results, lower-ranked players get left out in the cold. You see, as soon as you realize status is the real goal, all that stuff that looked totally irrational suddenly makes perfect logical sense. A partner isn't for stability anymore. There's someone to brag about. The main action isn't building a home together. It's posting the perfect photo on social media to get likes. And the result isn't about starting a family, it's about making other people jealous. So everyone fighting for that top spot, well, that's not irrational at all if status is what you're really after. But here's the next big question. Has this always been the game we're playing? Not even close. The rules we live by change dramatically depending on the larger conditions of our society. And it all comes down to something called the superstructure. The source calls this the superstructure. And the best way to think about it is as the game board itself. The size of the population, the resources that are available, the level of technology. These are the big picture conditions that actually set the rules of the game for everybody who's playing on that board. And you can see just how dramatically this game has changed over time. Back in early, low-population societies, the game was all about social cohesion, literally just keeping the tribe together. As societies grew bigger, the game shifted to arranged marriages to make sure the population kept growing. And now, in our wealthy, modern world, the game is all about maximizing your own individual status. Okay, so this whole framework isn't just a cool way to look back at history. The really interesting part is that once you understand the superstructure and the game people are playing, you can actually start to predict the future. And for the game we're playing now, The predictions are pretty grim. It all boils down to one critical number, 2.1. This is what's known as the replacement fertility rate. For a society to simply maintain its population, not grow, just stay the same size, it needs an average of 2.1 children per woman. Anything less than that, and your society is on a path to shrink. And when you look at the fertility rates around the world today, you can see the consequences of this status game playing out in real time. The US is well below replacement at 1.7. South Korea is in an almost unbelievable freefall at 0.7. But then you have this fascinating outlier, Israel, at nearly 2.9. It really makes you stop and ask, what game are they playing? So what happens when a country's birth rate collapses and just stays that way for too long? You get what the source calls a zombie society. It's a nation with a huge elderly population and almost no young people to work, to innovate, or to pay for all those pensions. It's a society that is, for all intents and purposes, already dead. It just doesn't know it yet. Just look at South Korea's population pyramid today. See that? It's a healthy shape with a big bulge in the middle. That's the working age population that drives the economy. But the forecast for 2060 shows something truly terrifying. The pyramid inverts. It flips completely on its head. The working population gets cut in half, and the dominant group becomes retirees. This is what demographic collapse looks like on a chart. And all of this brings us to a final, really sobering thought. If a civilization's survival actually depends on the game it plays, and if the game of maximizing individual status leads directly to demographic collapse, then what does that say about the game that you and I are playing right now?